Tennessee is now the first state ever to work with the TSA to deploy a simultaneous counterterrorism operation statewide. News Channel 5's Adam Gassimi was at one of their way station checkpoints today near Portland.
Yeah, Vicki, you know, this was a massive operation really bringing all federal, state, and local agencies together to not only do random searches, but also create an army of agents on wheels. You're probably used to seeing these signature blue uniforms at the airport.
See something, do something.
But now TSA agents are on the interstates fighting terrorism with visible intermodal prevention and response, or VIPER operations.
Where is the terrorist most apt to be found? Not these days on an airplane, or likely on the interstate.
Tuesday, Tennessee was the first to do this simultaneously at 5 way stations and 2 bus stations statewide. They're recruiting truck drivers like Rudy Gonzalez into the First Observer Highway Security Program to say something if they see something.
Not only truck drivers, but cars, everybody should be aware of what's going on the road.
It's all meant to urge every driver to call authorities if they see something suspicious.
If somebody sees something somewhere, and we want them to be responsible citizens, report that, and let us work it through our processes to vet the concern that they had when they saw something suspicious.
The bottom line is this: if you see something suspicious, say something about it.
Safer.
Today we announced that if you think you're going to be a bad actor on buses, get ready. You're going to have a short-lived time frame.
This is a national pilot program which puts undercover officers on metro buses, sniffing out trouble before it happens. It's kind of akin to air marshals, but for buses. But that safety will apparently come somewhat at the expense of civil liberties. These officers will be able to search bags at random, and canines might be brought in. But you don't like the bag searches?
No, not at all. Because I carry like a lot of food, and people always ask me for my food.
The Bus Safe program is a collaboration between the Congresswoman, Metro, Precinct 7 constables, and the TSA.
Reality in America. Some fear any nuclear, biological, or chemical attack on U.S. territory might trigger just that. And as KSLA News 12's Jeff Farrell discovered, the clergy would help the government with potentially their biggest problem: us.
From my cold, dead hands.
Charlton Heston's famous declaration captures a truly American value: the overarching desire to protect our freedoms. But gun confiscation is exactly what happened during the state of emergency following Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. U.S. troops also arrived, something far easier to do even now thanks to last year's elimination of the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act. That forbid U.S. troops from policing on American soil. If martial law were enacted here at home, like depicted in the movie The Siege, easing public fears and quelling dissent would be critical. And that's exactly what the Clergy Response Team, as it's called, helped accomplish in New Orleans.
Jeff, the primary thing that we say to anybody is let's cooperate and get this thing over with, and then we'll settle the differences once the crisis is over.
Such clergy response teams would walk a tightrope between the needs of the government versus the wishes of the public.
In a lot of cases, these clergy would already be known in the neighborhoods in which they're helping to defuse that situation.
For the clergy, one of the biggest tools that they will have in helping calm the public down or obey the law is the Bible itself, specifically Romans 13.
Because the government is established by the Lord, you know, and that's what we believe in the Christian faith. That's what's stated in the Scripture.
Civil rights advocates believe the amount of public cooperation may depend largely on how long they expect a suspension of their rights might last.
You'll find that they've also asked for the right to imprison farmers who wouldn't keep books as prescribed by the federal government. The Secretary of Agriculture asked for the right to seize farms through condemnation and resell them to other individuals. And contained in that same program was a provision that would have allowed the federal government to remove 2 million farmers from the soil.
If you live in the heartland of America, you have to listen up. While the nation was distracted with the Anthony Weiner drama, President Obama signed an executive order that will seize greater power over food, fiber, and energy in our vast countryside areas. The president created the White House Rural Council to, quote, make sure we're working across government to strengthen rural communities and promote economic growth. Sounds great, but get this. The council involves a long list of the most powerful people in America. Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, the Defense Secretary's on it, Attorney General Eric Holder, even the head of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. Why would Homeland Security be involved in exerting power and influence over the heartland? Why would the Defense Department be involved in promoting economic growth? The plan calls for the federal government to control almost every aspect of rural America. It'll also, quote, identify and facilitate economic opportunities associated with energy development, outdoor recreation, and other conservation-related activities. Really? When did hunting and fishing become associated with conservation-related activities? And by the way, what does that mean? The aims of the White House Rural Development Plan sound eerily similar to a UN plan called Agenda 21, where a central planning agency would be responsible for oversight into all areas of our lives, a one world order. Sound familiar? Joining me now is radio host Ben Ferguson. Hey, Ben, President Reagan, 50 years ago, he started talking about this, and look what we got now. We have a White House Rural Council. Are you nervous about this?
Sure, and anybody that's in rural America should be worried about this, because what they're saying is we're going to look at what you're doing in your life, and if we seem that you're not somehow using your land to the advantage of the overall American people, then we may have some quote-unquote maybe strong suggestions for you. I mean, look at the people in Minot, North Dakota, for example, this week, who are having to deal with the government, and guess what? They didn't do it right with the levees there, so even when there's a place with a lot of people, they say, hey, why would I want the government telling me what to do with my farmland? Because that area there is massively involved with farm. What, are they going to walk in with the defense secretary and start telling them where they should farm, how they should farm, and what they should do with their land? I mean, this to me scares me.
Hey, Dr. Heldman, what about it? Why the long list? I mean, if you go down the list, almost every department, I think every department in the White House is represented. Homeland Security, we talked about it, the EPA, the federal FCC. The FCC? Why the FCC, and why so many important bigwigs from the White House?
Eric, I think that list means a lot. It means that President Obama is taking what is happening with the heartland, which is a lack of economic opportunity as we've shifted from a manufacturing sector culture to a service sector culture. The heartland, rural areas have been affected. He's putting all of his big guns on it. And give me a break. These people are not going to be sitting around at some conspiracy theory around a table plotting the takeover of the heartland. If you look at what this council does,
then what's it for? Hang on, guys. What's it for then? I mean, really, it's overreaching. It's an overreach. I have a hunch that people in the heartland are going, we're doing just fine. Thank you very much. Keep your grimy hands off us.
How is it an overreach? He is going to be putting money into...
It's the Defense Department.
The Defense Department, who knows how they'll be involved? It's everyone from a major cabinet focusing on issues.
Do me a favor. Give me a scenario.
Hold on. This is what happens when you have three remotes. Let's bring it around. Go ahead, Chris Plant. You're up.
Well, who knows how it's going to turn out, but it's good. It's real good. This is another demonstration of this administration's obsessive-compulsive government disorder. They've decided that government needs to seep in. And it's not just, you shouldn't just be worried if you're in the heartland. We should all be worried about this. This is government out of control. This is crazy. This is over the top. This is one of hundreds of sort of organizations and commissions and panels that this administration has created to wheedle their way into our lives on what kind of light bulbs we can use and how much broccoli we can eat and what we can drive and what our kids have to eat at school. And they're just seeking to control Tony, every area of our lives.
Certainly feels like overreach to me.
Not only overreach, Eric, I mean, it's so frightening. This is 16% of America, what's considered rural America, who basically is now going to have its entire livelihood run by government in Washington. Right. They're far away from Washington. They like it that way, is my guess. I think Mr. Ferguson certainly sounds like he's representing that point of view.
Ben? Yeah, I mean, you look at this. Give me one scenario where the Homeland Security, the Defense Department, and the Attorney General should be involved when it comes to economic development of rural America. I can't see where any scenario those three would fit in if this is truly about economic development in rural America.